So I just watched the Agenda Part 2, and gee, the Decepticons sided with the Predacons. I never would have called that. Also known as Silverbolt's really, really bad day. The ramifications of Part 1 are being felt. Megatron is captured. The almost said Autobots. Jeez, it's late. The Maximals are trying to figure out how to get back to Cybertron and rounding up stray Predacons in the process. But all the while, an agenda is still being played out, even though everyone involved should be otherwise unable to. Again, a lot to unpack. Let's get down to it. The first scene in this is something I think we should have seen so many more times in this series. Optimus Primal acting like a commanding officer. He throws the book at Silverbolt for his actions in the attack on the dark side and his refusal to fire on Black Arachnia. It's implied that Primal already knew that there was something between him and between Silverbolt and Black Arachnia, but this is the only time he's called him on it because this time almost endangered the mission. And potentially endangered a lot more if she was going where he thinks she was going, which she is. And actually puts some actual punishment on him. It's not like, not just kind of like brushing it off. You know, like when Dinobot handed over the golden disc, he just kind of waved that off, and it's like, well, just good to have you back. Here we see an actual consequence for blatantly disobeying him. You know, this is kind of a cool thing, really. And it shows the difference between Silverbolt, who has seen Black Arachnia for a much briefer time and knows her as a very different person than Primal does, because Primal was around at the height of Black Arachnia's villainy. It's two very different perspectives going on here. And it does also paint Black Arachnia in a more negative light again. It's throwing more suspicion on just how genuine she is with Silverbolt. We also have the interesting parts of this episode play out in the hold between Ravage and Megatron. I presume on board Ravage's ship, because I know the Maximal ship didn't have a prison or a cell on it anywhere. Like Megatron, like even in jail, even in bonds and behind bars, he still is calm and collected. And watching him in this episode is fascinating. We learn during the first exchange between him and Ravage that Tarantulas is the reason why the Darkseid's defenses failed before the fight. He's Predacon's secret police, which explains so much about why he runs his own agendas and why he is so defiant against Megatron. He's a mole. Has been the whole time. It's a fascinating little twist. And Megatron kind of winking at the camera going, I never suspected. However, Tarantulas is reading data that leads the Maximals into a trap, which clearly shows that, yeah, Megatron did know. Because Tarantulas had to get that bad info from somewhere. Interesting. So, again, Megatron just seems to always know what's going on. You know, at every moment, he seems to know exactly how everyone's going to behave, which is what makes him such a brilliant villain. And I'm not even sure what he was doing. I don't know if this was like one last attempt to try and destroy Primal with an ambush from Inferno and an Energon explosion, or if that was just trying to buy time. You know, it seemed like a manipulation on his part to try and get Ravage to, like, maybe, like, trying to cut a deal with Ravage, but obviously trap all along. It also explains why he was setting up because one of the things he tried to build before was a refueling station. So he was trying to set up a cache for such a situation. Not that he led him to a correct one, but, you know, the history is there, which is a nice little subtle detail. We'll get back to that, because the more fascinating scene comes at the end, of course. We start seeing more of Silverbolt in this one's also interesting to watch because he's so defiant here. He's trying to save Black Arachnia. He's trying to save this Predacon he's in love with. And he's willing to beat up Cheetor to do it. He's willing to blow a hole in the side of the Maximal ship and escape in order to do it. Love makes you do crazy, crazy things. Even when you are the noble, justice-obsessed Silverbolt, you're still willing to break all the rules for the one you love. That's how that goes. And it's weird to see him like that. Not unwelcome, though. It's nice to know that there is something a little bit deeper behind the bravado of the hero that he plays himself up as. Him and Black Arachnia in this... So, Black Arachnia alone could go for I could go on a whole examination of Black Arachnia in this episode alone. Silverbolt... trying to get her to just return with him, gets shot in the leg for his purpose, and points out, well, you didn't shoot a non-vital area, so obviously you're still a good person somewhere, and she doesn't want to hear it. It's just making her more and more angry. He's not wrong, though. He's not wrong. She shot him in the leg. She made sure to not hit anything vital. It's not a reluctance. The reluctance here is his insistence on coming back to be reprogrammed into a Maximal. She likes who she is, and she doesn't want her freedom taken away from her by being reprogrammed. It's not a reluctance to go with Silverbolt. It's a reluctance to go through what he keeps insisting she go through. That's where the frustration comes from. But her own emotions here are interesting. In her own words, trust isn't easy for a Predacon. So when someone is coming to her with unconditional love, and when she is, even after shooting him, he comes to her rescue and saves her life again, there is part of her that doesn't trust it. Somewhere in her, she doesn't believe that this bravado is real, that this heroism act is real. She might be falling in love with him, but she doesn't believe it to be that. It's why she is so in such disbelief that he saved her even after she shot him. Because there's something in her that's trying to prove that he is not genuine about this, and it's not working. There's a reality here she hasn't accepted yet because the Predacon aspect of her that can't trust it won't allow her to. Some point we're going to go in depth to Black Arachnia herself, because I think she goes through so many different things in the course of this series. It's definitely worth a full examination. The big scene at the end is between Ravage and Megatron, and this is just... Whew. So, we learn the origin of the Golden Disc. It is the same golden disc that was launched from the Voyager satellite with the sounds of Earth on it. And if you actually look up the real sounds of Earth, you'll see the exact same etchings that are on the golden disc in the show. Fascinating that. Megatron came to Earth, came to prehistoric Earth, under the directions of the G1 Megatron via a message he found on the disc and recorded. So at some point, Megatron managed to come into contact with the disc. Now, the satellite launched in 1977. The Autobots and Decepticons didn't wake up until 1984. But in animation, it does show the satellite passing Saturn, which would be about the right time. So it is implied that somehow Megatron did reach the satellite, and it wasn't important what it was. All it was an inconspicuous way of hiding a message that was leaving Earth. Didn't matter what it was, but in this case, it was something that was intentionally designed for alien life to find. And if alien life ended up being Transformer life, then someone's going to find this message from him. That's the logic behind this whole thing. And the instructions are something we'll see in part 3. What's important here is to find out that that is the real reason Megatron came to the past in the first place. This is a plan from the original G1 Megatron. And we'll go into examination of that next episode where it's a little bit more pertinent. But for now, it's another manipulation. He had this fragment of the disc on hand and ready. Don't know if he could have possibly predicted that it was Ravage who would show up, but anyone who showed up from Cybertron, from the Predacon Alliance, could have been swayed by this video that he kept on him. What's interesting here is there is another aspect to this, because they start tying in Silverbolt and Black Arachnia's story to Megatron's story here, because they reach a cave that has been blasted shut, and what we see is a missile casing with a Predacon emblem. Megatron hasn't fired missiles since Season 1. He's been incapable of it. His current body only fires energy weapons. Meaning, whatever they're doing, whatever this cave is, and whatever Black Arachnia left to do, Megatron was already there, found it, and chose to seal it up. Which puts on a really interesting mystery to set up Episode 3. More interesting as a setup to Episode 3, of course, is seeing Ravage switch sides, transforming with the classic noise to pilot the ship as a cassette mode. And oh my god, this was such a cool moment. This is such a cool moment in this show. Again, there is a lot going on here. I could talk about these episodes for a long time, and I will be talking about these episodes for a long, long time. Side note, really quick. This is the episode Inferno was supposed to die from that energon explosion for whatever reason. Keep the sides even. Keep a comedy character around. For whatever reason, survived. So, congratulations. He escaped what was obviously him getting disintegrated. So, that's what I got for Episode 2 of the agenda. Once again, we are holding off the rating until we get to Episode 3. You can probably tell which direction it's going, though. And oh my god, if this one was long, oh boy, I'm pretty sure Episode 3 is going to be longer still. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.